The awakening. Cold. Darkness. Then sudden, searing pain. Commander Elena Reyes gasped as her lungs filled with air for the first time in what felt like seconds. Her vision blurred, then sharpened as the cryopod systems pumped revival compounds through her body. A soft blue light pulsed overhead, growing steadily brighter. Vital signs stabilizing. "Welcome back, Commander Reyes." The voice was familiar yet somehow different. "Sentinel." Elena croaked, her throat raw. "Status report. I am Sentinel Mark IV, evolved from the AI you knew. You have been in cryostasis for approximately 53,218 Earth years, 7 months, and 14 days. The number struck her like a physical blow. Elena tried to sit up, her muscles protesting after their millennia-long slumber. "That's impossible. I assure you it is not." The Artemis colony vessel's primary systems remained operational as programmed. "However, I must report that you are the only human survivor." Elena's heart raced as fragments of memory returned. Earth burning. The desperate evacuation. 12 colony ships, each carrying 10,000 people in stasis, plus the genetic material and technology to rebuild civilization. And the enemy, massive ships appearing from nowhere, weapons that turned cities to ash in seconds. The others, she asked, though she already knew the answer. Life support systems failed progressively over time. Despite implementing all backup protocols, the other cryopods malfunctioned. "I prioritize your pod as per Command Protocol Omega." Elena swung her legs over the edge of the pod. Her dark blue uniform appeared pristine, as if she'd just put it on yesterday. "Where are we?" "We are on planetary body GX-2247, approximately 67 light-years from Earth. The Artemis achieved soft landing 51,479 years ago. And Earth." A pause. "No transmissions have been detected from Earth or any human colony for over 50,000 years. Elena closed her eyes. Everyone she'd known, everything humans had built, gone. She was a relic, perhaps the last of her kind. "Show me," she said finally. Sentinel guided her through corridors that should have been filled with colonists. Instead, they were pristine and empty, maintained by automated systems over millennia. They reached the bridge, where view screens activated to show her an alien landscape, purple-leafed forests under twin suns, sprawling oceans of deep teal. "It's beautiful," Elena whispered. Yes, the planet proved compatible with the terraforming protocols, though they were only partially implemented before the ship's main drives failed. Elena studied the images. "Any indigenous life?" "Affirmative. There is a sentient species that calls themselves the Varen. They have developed technology roughly equivalent to Earth's early 22nd century. A new screen showed tall, slender beings with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Their faces featured 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and they moved with fluid grace. "Have we made contact?" "Negative. Following Protocol Theta, I maintained complete isolation until a command-level human could make first contact decisions." Elena nodded absently, still processing everything. "What about our defense systems? The mission protocols included contingencies if we were followed. I have maintained and expanded the defense grid." Sentinel's tone shifted subtly. "Commander, there is something else you need to see." The AI led her to a massive observation deck, overlooking what should have been the colony's central hub. Instead, Elena found herself staring at thousands of humanoid figures standing in perfect formation, row after row of them extending into the distance. "What am I looking at, Sentinel?" "The Artemis Defense Force. After determining that natural human reproduction would be impossible, I implemented Protocol Omega-7 and began manufacturing synthetic combat units using the genetic and technological templates provided. There are currently 15,742 active units and production facilities for 300 more annually." Elena gripped the railing, steadying herself. They weren't human, but they looked close, their skin a pale gray, Features similar but too perfect, too uniform. "They're waiting for your orders, Commander," Sentinel said. "They have been waiting for over 50,000 years." Elena stared at the silent army below. An army without a nation, warriors created to protect a species that might no longer exist anywhere in the galaxy. "What is my mission now?" she asked quietly. The lights dimmed momentarily, then returned to full brightness. "Your mission, Commander Reyes, is to lead. This facility, this army, and humanity's legacy are now under your command." As Elena gazed out at the synthetic soldiers, her soldiers now, a strange sense of purpose began to replace her shock. Whatever remained of humanity depended on her next decisions. 3 days later, Elena stood in the command center surrounded by holographic displays. She had spent every waking moment learning about her new reality, the planet, the Varen, and the capabilities of her synthetic army. "Show me more detail on the Varen cities," she instructed. Sentinel expanded a 3-dimensional map showing clusters of structures spread across the larger continent. They have 27 major population centers. Their government appears to be a council-based democracy with representatives from geographic regions. Any conflicts or wars, minor border disputes, but nothing global, they appear to be in a period of relative peace and technological advancement. Elena studied the alien civilization thoughtfully. "And they have no idea we're here." "Correct, though they have detected the ship's presence and developed various religious and mythological explanations for it. Some believe it to be the home of creator gods." Elena frowned. "That complicates things." A synthetic officer approached, one of the command-level units Elena had activated for advisory purposes. This one had chosen the designation area. "Commander, long-range sensors have detected an anomaly at the edge of the system," Area reported, her voice almost indistinguishable from a human's. Elena straightened. "What kind of anomaly?" Sentinel expanded a new display showing what appeared to be a distortion in space. Unknown objects decelerating from FTL travel. Configuration and energy signatures match no known profile in our databases. Elena felt a chill. How long until they reach the planet? At current velocity, approximately 3 months. Elena made a decision. Prepare a contact team. It's time we introduced ourselves to our neighbors. 24 hours later, Elena stood at the edge of a Varen city with 3 synthetic officers disguised in lightweight cloaks. Despite Sentinel's objections, she had insisted on leading the mission herself. The city was a marvel of organic architecture. Buildings that seemed to grow from the ground itself, with spiraling towers and bridges connecting them like an elaborate web. The Varen moved through their city with purpose, their skin shimmering different colors as they interacted. Their color changes appear to be a supplementary form of communication, Area observed quietly. Elena nodded. "Let's move. Remember, we observe only. No contact unless absolutely necessary." They had barely entered the outskirts when a group of Varen security forces surrounded them, weapons drawn. Their skin pulsed with rapid flashes of red and orange. "So much for observation," Elena muttered. She slowly raised her hands. "Sentinel, is the translator ready?" "Yes, Commander. I have analyzed sufficient linguistic data to establish basic communication." A Varen stepped forward, its 4 eyes fixed intently on Elena. It spoke in a melodic language of clicks and trills. "They are asking who we are and how we came to their world." Sentinel translated through Elena's earpiece. Elena took a deep breath. "My name is Commander Elena Reyes of Earth. I come in peace and wish to speak with your leaders on a matter of mutual importance." When the translation reached the Varen, its skin shifted to a deep blue with ripples of white. It spoke again, this time with different intonation. "They are taking us to their council," Sentinel translated. "They say the sky visitors were foretold in their ancient texts." Elena and her team were escorted through the city center, drawing stares and whispers from the Varen citizens. They arrived at a circular building topped with a crystalline dome that refracted the sunlight into patterns across the plaza. Inside, they were brought before a semicircle of 7 Varens seated on elevated platforms. Their skin displayed complex patterns of blue, gold, and purple, signifying authority, according to Sentinel's analysis. The central figure spoke, its voice deeper than the others. "I am High Counselor Terex of the Varen Unity. For generations, we have watched the great ship in the mountains and wondered when its inhabitants would emerge. Are you the creators returned?" Elena stepped forward. "No, we are travelers from a distant world called Earth. Our ship arrived here over 50,000 years ago. But I was in deep sleep until recently." Murmurs and color ripples spread among the council members. "I have come to warn you," Elena continued. "Unknown vessels are approaching your system. We don't know their intentions, but we believe they may pose a threat to your world." The council chamber erupted in a cascade of color changes and vocalizations. One Varen rose, its skin pulsing angry red. "Why should we trust the words of strangers who have hidden among us for millennia?" it demanded. Another counselor, smaller with subtle green patterns, spoke more calmly. "I am Nexel, Science Counselor. If what you say is true, what evidence do you have of this threat?" Elena nodded to Aria, who projected a holographic display of the approaching anomalies. "Our sensors detected these objects 3 days ago. They are unlike any natural phenomenon and are moving with purpose toward your world." Nexel's colors shifted to a thoughtful blue. "This matches observations from our own orbital instruments, though we could not determine their nature." High Counselor Terex raised a hand for silence. "What do you propose, Commander of Earth?" Elena looked around the chamber, aware that her next words would shape the relationship between her people, what remained of them, and the Varen. "I propose an alliance. My ship carries advanced defensive technology and an army trained for combat. We offer our help in preparing for whatever is coming. In return, we ask for acceptance on your world, a new home for what may be the last human in the universe." The council chamber fell silent. Then, slowly, Terex's skin began to glow with a warm golden light. The ancient texts speak of a time when the sky visitors would emerge to stand with us against darkness, the High Counselor said. "Perhaps this is that time." Not all the counselors agreed, but enough saw the wisdom in preparing for a potential threat. As Elena left the chamber with the beginnings of an alliance formed, she looked up at the alien sky and felt, for the first time since awakening, that she might have found a purpose in this strange new era, a chance to ensure that humanity's legacy would not end with her. The confrontation. The command center buzzed with activity as Elena studied the tactical display. 6 weeks had passed since first contact with the Varen, and the unknown vessels were now close enough for detailed scans. 7 ships, each approximately 3 kilometers in length, reported Krell, one of the synthetic officers. Energy signatures suggest weapons systems far beyond Varen capabilities. Beside him, Science Counselor Nexel's skin rippled with concerned purples and blues. "Our most powerful defenses would be useless against such technology." Elena nodded grimly. "Which is why we're not relying on them." "Sentinel, show us the orbital defense grid." A holographic display expanded to show a network of satellites surrounding the planet. Technology from the Artemis repurposed and enhanced over the millennia by Sentinel's automated factories. "The grid is at 82% operational capacity," Sentinel reported. "The final units will be deployed within 48 hours. And the ground forces." Aria stepped forward. 10,000 synthetic units have been distributed to strategic locations. Combined Varen-human training groups are functioning at acceptable efficiency levels. Elena turned to Nexel. "How are your people handling all this?" The Varen scientist's colors shifted to a contemplative blue-green. "There is fear, naturally, but also determination. Your arrival has united factions that have been divided for generations. Not all the Varen had welcomed the alliance. A substantial faction led by Counselor Zavak believed the newcomers represented a greater threat than the approaching ships. Their opposition had grown increasingly vocal as more of Elena's synthetic forces were deployed across Varen territory. "Commander, Sentinel interrupted. "We're receiving a transmission from the lead vessel." Elena straightened. "Put it through." The display shifted to show a humanoid figure with features that sent a chill down Elena's spine. Its skin was pale and almost translucent, revealing a network of dark veins. Eyes too large for its face blinked slowly. "This is Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth vessel Artemis," she said evenly. "You are approaching a protected world. State your identity and intentions." The figure tilted its head, studying her with unnervingly familiar movements. When it spoke, its voice was a raspy approximation of human speech. "Human. Unexpected. We are the Harvani. We claim this world and its resources by right of discovery." Elena felt her blood run cold. "This world is inhabited by a sentient species and is under our protection. Discovery rights do not apply." The Harvani's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "We have studied your databases, human. Your Earth is gone. Your species is extinct. You have no authority here." The transmission ended abruptly. Elena stood motionless, processing what she'd just heard. "They've studied our databases," she repeated slowly. "They know about Earth, about humans." She turned to Sentinel. "Could they have been responsible for what happened to Earth?" "Insufficient data," the eye replied. "However, their technology shares similarities with fragmented records of the vessels that attacked Earth." Nexel's skin had paled to an ashen gray. "What do they want with our world?" "Nothing good," Elena said grimly. "Sentinel, alert all forces. We're accelerating our timetable." The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. Elena divided her time between the orbital command center and the Varan capital, working with both her synthetic officers and alien leaders to coordinate their defense. On the 4th day, the Harvani made their move. Multiple smaller craft launching from the main vessels, Krell reported. Estimated 300 attack ships on approach vectors to major cities. Elena watched the tactical display as red dots swarmed toward the planet. Activate the orbital grid. Around the planet, hundreds of satellites powered up, targeting systems locking onto the approaching ships. Beams of concentrated energy sliced through space, destroying dozens of Harvani craft in the first salvo. Grid performing at 94% efficiency, Sentinel reported. Enemy adapting attack patterns to compensate. Elena nodded. As expected, implement Phase 2. Across the planet's surface, Varan defense forces and synthetic soldiers moved into position. They weren't trying to defend every city. That would be impossible. Instead, they were implementing a strategy Elena had developed based on ancient Earth military doctrines, adapted for this new battlefield. Their landing forces in the southern continent, area reported. Minimal civilian presence as anticipated. The bait has been taken, Elena confirmed. Counselor Nexel, are your teams ready? The Varan scientist's skin glowed with determined blue light. Yes, Commander. The resonance transmitters are in place. The Harvani ground forces moved quickly, establishing beachheads and advancing toward what appeared to be minimal resistance. Elena watched their movements carefully, waiting for the perfect moment. They're deploying their primary harvest equipment, Sentinel noted. Energy signatures indicate they're preparing to begin resource extraction. Elena leaned forward. Now, across the southern continent, hidden Varan transmitters activated, sending precisely calibrated sound waves through the ground. The waves were harmless to organic life, but devastating to the crystalline technology at the heart of Harvani systems. Technology that Elena had gambled would be similar to fragments recovered from the Artemis' databanks. On the tactical display, red dots began to flicker and disappear. Harvani ground systems failing at 63% of deployment sites, Krell reported. Their infantry units are continuing to advance, however. As expected, Elena said, Phase 3. The synthetic forces that had been seemingly retreating now pivoted in a coordinated counterattack. Unlike human soldiers, they could communicate instantaneously across vast distances, allowing for perfect tactical coordination. In orbit, the battle continued as the Harvani capital ships moved to destroy the defense grid. Several satellites were lost, but the grid had served its purpose, forcing the enemy to commit their forces before understanding what they were truly facing. "Commander," Area said urgently, "3 Harvani capital ships are positioning for orbital bombardment of the northern cities." Elena had anticipated this. "Sentinel, activate the Artemis primary defense system." Deep in the mountains where the colony ship had rested for 50 millennia, massive energy capacitors discharge a beam of concentrated energy. The ship's main weapon, designed as a last resort, lanced upward through the atmosphere. The lead Harveni vessel shuddered as the beam struck, its shields flaring and failing. A second pulse tore through the weakened defenses, splitting the massive ship in two. "Direct hit," Sentinel confirmed. However, the Artemis's weapon systems are now depleted. Recharge time estimated at 72 hours. 2 more capital ships breaking orbit, Krell reported. They appear to be retreating. But 4 remained, and the ground battle was intensifying. Elena received reports from across the planet as synthetic forces and Varan defenders engaged Harveni troops. The aliens were formidable, stronger than humans, and armed with advanced weapons, but they hadn't expected such coordinated resistance. "Commander," Nexel called out, his skin flashing urgent patterns. "Our sensors detect the Harvani deploying some kind of atmospheric dispersal system." Elena's eyes narrowed. "Chemical weapons?" "Unknown," Sentinel replied, "but the composition appears designed to interact with Varan biology." Elena made a swift decision. Divert all synthetic forces to those dispersal sites. Priority override. Destroy them at all costs. The battle shifted. Synthetic soldiers abandoned defensive positions to target the new threat, taking heavy losses, but systematically destroying the Harvani dispersal equipment. Hours passed as Elena coordinated the planet-wide defense from the command center. Reports from the front lines were mixed. Victories in some sectors, devastating losses in others. The remaining Harvani ships are concentrating fire on the eastern defense grid, Area reported. Breach imminent. Elena studied the tactical display. The Harvani had adapted more quickly than she'd hoped, finding weaknesses in their defenses. They needed to end this now, before the tide turned. "Sentinel, is the resonance transmitter ready?" "Yes, Commander, but the effective range will only cover 3 of the 4 remaining capital ships, and I must remind you that using it will disable our own orbital defenses as well." Elena nodded grimly. "We'll have to deal with the 4th ship separately. Initiate the transmitter." A specialized satellite, built in secret during the preparations, activated, broadcasting the same resonance frequency that had disrupted the Harveni ground technology, but amplified to affect their capital ships. On the display, 3 of the enemy vessels suddenly lost power, drifting in orbit. It worked. Nexel breathed, his skin glowing with hope. "Partially," Elena cautioned. "We still have 1 active enemy ship and ground forces across half the continent." She turned to Area. "It's time for the final phase. Take command of the orbital station. You know what to do." The synthetic officer nodded. "It has been an honor to serve with you, Commander." As Area departed, Elena focused on coordinating the ground forces. The battle continued for hours, a grueling campaign to contain and eliminate the remaining Harvani troops. Then, without warning, the last Harvani capital ship began to move, not toward the planet, but away. "They're retreating," Krell announced. "No," Elena said quietly. "They're repositioning." "Sentinel, what's their target?" The AI paused. "Calculating trajectory. They're targeting the orbital station." "Commander, Area is there with a skeleton crew." Elena watched as the massive Harveni vessel approached the station where Area had taken command. The station containing the prototype singularity drive that had been intended for the colony's eventual expansion. "Open a channel to Area." The synthetic officer's face appeared on screen, calm despite the approaching threat. "The Harvani ship will be within optimal range in 47 seconds," Area reported. "Singularity drive is primed." Elena nodded. You don't have to do this. We could find another way. This is what we were created for, Commander. To protect humanity and its allies. Aria's expression softened, becoming almost human. It is a worthy purpose. The channel closed as the Harvani ship came alongside the station, dwarfing it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a point of absolute darkness appeared between the two vessels, a microscopic black hole, carefully generated and instantly unstable. Both the station and the enemy ship were torn apart as the singularity collapsed in on itself, leaving nothing but scattered debris. Remaining Harvani ground forces are surrendering or retreating to their disabled ships, Krell reported. The battle is over, Commander. We've won. Elena felt no triumph, only a weighted solemnity. She had sacrificed thousands of synthetic lives, beings that, while not human, had followed her without question. 3 days later, Elena stood before the Varan High Council. The chamber was packed with representatives from across the planet. The threat has been neutralized, she reported. The remaining Harvani ships have been secured, and we're extracting their technology and databases. They won't be a danger to anyone again. High Counselor Terex's skin glowed with solemn gold. The Varan people owe you a debt that can never be repaid, Commander Reyes. You and your people will always have a place among us. Elena nodded in acknowledgement. My synthetic forces are not truly human, but they fought and died protecting this world. I would ask that they be recognized for their sacrifice. They will be, Terex assured her. And what of you, last daughter of Earth? What will you do now? Elena looked around the chamber at the aliens who had become allies and perhaps in time friends. She thought of the empty corridors of the Artemis, the silent cryopods that had once held humanity's future. The Harvani databases confirm what I feared, she said quietly. Earth is gone, and possibly all human colonies. I may well be the last of my kind. She straightened her shoulders. But humanity's legacy doesn't end with me. The Artemis carries the genetic material of thousands of humans. With your help, and with time, perhaps humanity can have a second chance among the stars. Not conquerors, not alone, but as part of something greater. As murmurs of assent filled the chamber, Elena felt a weight lift from her shoulders. 50,000 years ago, she had gone to sleep as one of millions, a commander in a desperate evacuation. She had awakened alone, the last human, commander of an army of machines on an alien world. Now she stood as something else, a bridge between the past and a future that neither humans nor Varan could have imagined separately, but that they might build together. The dormant legacy of humanity had awakened, and its story was just beginning.